So, good afternoon, everyone. And today's my topic is silence as a decolonial strategy, reclaiming a voice and agency in a genre's White Sargasso Sea and Jem Coexist 4. Let's begin. These are my personal information, table of contents, and first is a research question. How do genres and Jem Coexist uh, reconfigures silence from a marker of colonial operations into a decolonial mode of agency and resistance in White Sargasso Sea and 4. Another is a hypothesis. Silence in Rhys and Coetzee is not a passive absence but an active decolonial strategy that exposes the violence of colonial language and reclaim narrative authority for the silence object. So first we see introduction and in a context, colonial discourse, historical quitest, speech with power and silence with submissions. Uh, Authors like Genres and Jem Coetzee challenges this binary by making silence a form of resistance, and both interrogate who has the right to speak and how silence itself can resist colonial control of narrative. What is the purpose? To in this purpose to explore how silence function as a decolonial strategy, reclaiming agency when language itself is colonized. To examine how Rhys and Coetzee transform silence into a speech, exposing the limits of colonial discourse. So first we see theoretical lens, silence and decolonial epistemology. Spivak's subaltern cannot speak exposes how Western discourse frames the colonized as voiceless. And this and Coetzee shows speech itself as the colonial violence. Decolonial silence refusal to participate in colonizers' epistemic system. Silence speaks through absence, destabilizing narrative authority. Another thing is silence as a Creole resistance. So in this work, Antoinette identity is a Creole identity. So her silencing by Rochester mirror imperial and patriarchal domination, raise transformation madness into a symbolic speech through silence. Her final act, reclaiming voice through destructions. So, Creole fragmentation and colonial language. In Antoinette, fragmented narration, fragmented identity, her identity. Written from the linguistic border between English and Creole silence. Rhys text destabilize the center periphery binary, making silence linguistic rebellion. The Creole voice survive through the silence between colonial words. Coetzee, the semiotic of Friday's silence. In the four, Friday's missing tongue, colonial silencing. Susan Barton's attempts to give him a story when Susan want to writes about four. So violence of liberal narrations. Coetzee refuses closer. Friday's remains a mute embodiment of trauma. In feminist and ethical dimensions, female narrators Antoinette and Susan both struggle to interpret or contain silence. Their inability reveals that colonial storytelling itself is compromised. Ethical listening replaces speaking a decolonial ethics of attentions. So here I comparative concept put here. First is what is the concept and in which concept. So first concept is a colonial silencing. White Sargasso, Antoinette renamed Bertha when her husband gave name of Bertha, and in four Friday's tongue cut off. Narrative strategy, fragmentation, Creole rhythm in White Sargasso, and info metafictional deconstructions. Another concept is a voice and agency. In White Sargasso, silence as a revenge, as self-possessions, and info silence is a moral resistance. And concept authorial ethics in feminist reclaim and info refuse to speak for a other. Here see in when Susan want to write about four, at that time refused to speak for the other by uh, uh, four. In conclusion, so Rhys and Coetzee turn silent into a space of agency and ethical awareness where the oppressed reclaim meaning on their own terms. Thus, silence speaks as a strategy of resistance and survival beyond the boundaries of empire. So, these are my references, and thank you. Now, you're free to ask.
Nikita, my question is, if silence is a refusal, what does it achieve in the narrative of white Sargasso info?
It exposes colonial violence, destabilizes narrative authority, that creates ethical space for witnessing the silence other.
So, Nikita, my question for you: why do Rhys and Coetzee use a silence instead of a speech to convey resistance?
Because speech is often a tool, often a tool in colonial control, and silence lets marginalized voices reclaim agency in participating in oppressive discourse. So this is from my side. Thank you.